Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM. AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on the Morning Majority. We've got Stuart Varney, anchor of Varney and Company on the Fox Business Network. Good morning, Stuart.
Good morning, Mary Catherine.
Hey, let me ask you about this tax cut, the payroll tax cut extension.
Yeah.
Probably not coming to a decision today. Generally, markets and businesses in general don't like the uncertainty. What is the effect of this, if any, on markets or more broadly businesses who actually have to deal with this payroll issue?
Well, they didn't like the idea that there was an extension only for 2 months.
Right.
How do you do long-term planning for your tax structure with a 2-month leeway here? That's not used to anybody, really. And there's the view in the marketplace that an extension of the payroll tax holiday is bad policy anyway and should not be extended. That's what I'm picking up from a lot of Republicans and a lot of business people, too. Because, after all, you're going to take over $100 billion out of Social Security revenue next year if you continue this payroll tax holiday. Is that a good thing? Because it's got to be replaced from the general revenue fund. How are you going to replace that $100 billion? When are you going to place a fee on new mortgages and refis? The whole thing just doesn't really add up to good policy. It may be good politics. I'm giving you a middle-class tax cut extension. But as far as policy, job creation, a proper structuring of Social Security financing, probably not a good deal.
You know, you're making Brian Neiman's day here because he's been preaching that all week long.
Well, you tell me, Brian, you and I are on the same side on this one. Tell me, how many new jobs will be created if you extend the payroll tax holiday? How many? I can't tell you, and neither can the administration.
You know what, this is not a time for sense making, you two.
Well, Mary Catherine's point is
it's
just bad marketing. I mean, the Republicans have always been branded as the party that is going to fight for lower taxes.
Protect you from a tax hike.
And this will be a tax increase for sure, a tax hike no matter what you call it. So just do the deal. But I think, look, the entitlements are our problem. And if we're not going to reform Social Security, which we haven't done, we haven't had the guts to do that, then why are we taking money out of the system? Just making it worse.
I think that the bottom line to me at this moment is, for the first time, I'm beginning to have serious doubts that there will be an extension of the payroll tax holiday.
Yeah, sort of looking that way.
It could be.
So did this have any impact on the economy this year, having an extra $1,000 in your back pocket or maybe even $2,000 for some of the wealthier people?
I don't think it hurt the overall economy, but I cannot tell you precisely what benefit it actually had for the economy. I mean, you can say that if you stick an extra $100 billion into consumers' pockets, some good will come of it. Some jobs will be saved or created. Some people will spend that money and will get the economy going a little bit. But you can't quantify it. And $100 billion in a $14-15 trillion economy is not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it really isn't. Okay, I want to talk about AT&T.
Oh, please,
and the T-Mobile proposed merger that AT&T now says it just can't happen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I find this to be absolutely outrageous. This is the government totally failing to understand the nature of modern technology and business. Here's the story. AT&T, number 2 cell phone company, wanted to merge with T-Mobile, which is owned by the Germans, number 4. The Justice Department says you get together like that and you're far too much of a monopoly. Consumers will be hurt, they'll pay higher prices, and you get poorer quality. Oh, really? I didn't know that was guaranteed. So here's the government sort of saying, well, this is going to create a monopoly. Really? In times like this, when you can get cell phone service from any number of different kinds of providers, this creates a monopoly? No. Yeah. This is the failure to understand how business really works, and it's a failure to understand that monopolies in a high-tech age may be very, very transient. I think it's a terrible move. And the bottom line is, AT&T now has to pay the Germans $4 billion.
$4 billion.
Come on, as a breakup, $4 billion? Get out of here.
They didn't see this coming at all, did they?
Yes, they did see it coming.
Then why did they agree to pay $4 billion if they couldn't push it through?
Well, no, AT&T didn't see
That's
it
what I'm
coming.
saying, yeah.
But the charge is that the Germans should have seen this coming. I think that's a false charge, quite frankly. The Germans had something to gain from this merger. AT&T had something to gain from it. Consumers had something to gain from it. America had something to gain for it. Maybe they should have seen opposition from this particular administration, but it's a good deal in and of itself, and there's no valid reason why this should not go through. But it's not going to go through.
AT&T has to pay $4 million because
$4 billion
because that was part of their deal with.
Yes, that was it built into the structure of the proposal was that we pay you $4 billion if for whatever reason the deal doesn't go through.
I have to ask you, Stuart, what CEO made that deal?
I don't know his name or her name. I don't know.
And why would you ever say that you're going to pay if the deal doesn't go through, knowing that you have to get through all kinds of hoops anyways for the government to approve of it?
Because it's a sweetener, isn't it? I mean, it says, hey, we fully intend to do this.
Right.
We're AT&T. We're putting $4 billion on the line to you guys at T-Mobile. We think this is going to go through. We want it to go through. We're going to make it going to go through. We're putting our money where our mouth is.
All right. The federal government for sure say, no, this is not going to happen, or did AT&T just pull the plug on it, saying it's not worth our fighting anymore?
Yeah, good point. The Justice Department put up obstacles, and AT&T decided that it could not get over those obstacles, so it broke up the deal and agreed to pay the $4 billion.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, can you believe that?
This is one of those situations where you just sit back and go, they really have that kind of power?
Yeah, it reminds me of Microsoft. Microsoft was accused of running a monopoly business in the 1990s. The government came down hard on them and ruined them. The government failed to see that there would be competition from other sources that would break up Microsoft's temporary monopoly. Look at Apple. Apple totally transcended Microsoft. The same thing could happen now.
Well, what even constitutes a monopoly? I mean, we could all name 5 or 6 cell phone carriers, not to mention the fact that you can make phone calls these days with Wi-Fi. You don't even need a carrier.
Precisely. If this deal had gone through, then AT&T and Verizon together would have 75% of the existing cell phone market.
Okay.
That, said the government, is a monopoly with negative effects. Unfortunately, that takes no account of new technology, because you can now have cell phone provided by small urban cell phone companies, satellite ventures.
Right.
They could all come into this market and have already to create a much more diverse supply line. Come on. Gee.
Good stuff, Stuart Varney.
Exasperated, sorry.
$4 billion of bureaucracy.
Yes.
Good to have you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.